Defiance Season 3, Episode 12, The Awakening. This is a really good episode leading up to the season finale, which I had no idea was actually going to be this week. It was just like, this episode 12 as far as I was concerned, and then it was like next time on the season finale of Defiance. So everything that happened in this is leading up to the ultimate ending for like basically 6 months for us. We're going to be waiting, and it really sucks. I wish we had like 20 episodes this season, but it's been an amazing season so far. Like, I'm really excited for this finale. This has been, yeah, as much as I love season 2, like I thought, like, man, that's, it was a great season. This has just been above and beyond for this show, and it seems like it's only getting better. So I'm already super freaking excited for season 4, but this was a great episode. We got to see the Omec coming in. We got to see Omec actually getting killed by the end of the episode, which was probably the most surprising thing for me, as far as just how everything was playing out. But we got to see Kenzie as the All-Mother. We got to see her actually get shot in the head, which really shows how strong they are, because we kind of had it where she was shot when she was kind of introduced to the series, and it was like, okay, she almost died from that, being shot in the chest twice. And, that kind of shows that she could have totally died if she was shot in the head then. And she gets shot in the head, she drops, and then it's like, basically she's bulletproof. It dug into her a little bit, like she was bleeding, but it basically just stopped after hitting. It was almost just like a bulletproof vest. Like, it still made an end in her head, but it stopped. The bullet just went boom, and it stopped right there, and she just plucked it out, and obviously everything else did absolutely nothing. But we see her as the All Mother taking charge, and of course spreading her lies, saying that Castison, I always say it weird, was the one that killed Tefkin, and of course, it's Stama that she's going after. But it was just really fun to see that play out, and I actually like the fact that more and more Omec kept coming in, because initially, with the trailer for this episode, I thought it was just like, here's everybody, and it's like, what the heck are we gonna do with all these Omec? But it's like little by little, because they don't have, or for whatever reason, it's not really explained why they come down little by little. But that's just how it is. Maybe it's just it kind of builds up power, and that's kind of why they needed to stay in the town to begin with. It was so that they could bring the ships down and go up and stuff like that. So it's like they can only come down maybe 2 or 3 at a time. So it builds up throughout the episode, even though they do kill off about 5 of them by the end. And it was really cool, and I liked it. They didn't really show it off, unfortunately, until the very end. But there were 2 other women, like none of them were Kenzie, and it kind of showed like basically all the women have white hair, and it's almost like the same style over and over, and all the males are bald, in the Omec species. So that was just something I picked up at the end of the episode. But they did actually have women in there at the very end, but I think they kind of did that on purpose to not bring too much of a focus off of Kenzie as like the the female Omec, and that's probably why they did that. Like, here are some female Omec who literally come in and then get killed off by the end of the episode, but they're gonna try to keep Kenzie as like the female Omec, especially since she's the All Mother and everything like that. But it was really fun, and we got to see her lieutenant, who may or may not have been in there as well, because there, of course, are still other ships. So maybe it's like, all right, you guys have been here for 5 hours or 8 hours or whatever, so you're fine. You need to feed, grab a person every couple hours, get stronger. Every time more people come in, I, as the lieutenant, will be off in this area from now on. So I'm sure he's still alive. Of course, Kenzie's alive, who's at the end with that, all that craziness that went down. But it was really fun to watch this episode and see how things were going to play out, especially not knowing that next week, or I guess this week, was going to be the season finale. I wasn't sure if Doc would actually get the little implant removed from her. So that was great to see. Like, she removed that, and she had a really awesome moment. Like, right after, it was just like everything she felt was kind of just displayed right there when she just got Amanda's gun, and she just shot the Omec up, which was kind of a gross scene too, because the face was all weird, and he had like one eyeball about to fall out, and it was kind of gross. It's almost like some Walking Dead stuff, but it was really cool. It's just like she unloaded the clip on him, and it was just like everything she'd felt for, I think it's been like a week maybe or something like that. Everything that she's been dealing with for these past couple of days was just all in that one scene, and it was really well done. And then she has a little moment at the end with Nolan where he's like, I've been there, but you just kind of got to get over it. Kind of glancing over all the craziness that he went through, but it's like, hey, we gotta deal with it. He was, I mean, obviously in an altered state, but it's like you gotta deal with it and get over it because it's war. And even though they took out, 5 Omec, here comes another ship coming straight through to basically replace that crew, and then there's, thousands more. It's 10,000 total, so they've only brought like 7 people down. They've got a lot of people to deal with, and like Nolan said really early on, they have to find some way to get to the ship and stop things at the source. But for now, they've at least found all the people. Aside from Daytak, who had a really cool scene as well when he got the one Omec with his never before seen little gauntlet arm thing that's in his robot arm, which is really cool. And I thought it was weird that he couldn't even escape because he had the robot arm. It's like he should be able to just like squeeze these bars, just like nothing. He has a bionic arm. He should. There's no pain or anything like that, I would assume. And he should be able to just be like, boom, just crush these gates, rip these locks off. That's what I was thinking. Like, it was really weird to me in that first scene with him and the vet doctor. It was like, how is he like struggling to do this? He should be like, and then it just breaks right through. But he still had a really awesome scene when he killed the one Omec. Fortunately, he took off. This episode did it 2 separate times. I wasn't sure if he'd actually lived through that scene, and then of course the ending, which obviously I'm definitely saving for the end of the review. But who knows where he is? Once again, he's pulled off a magic trick, and now he's just somewhere. Like, he didn't run back to Defiance. They didn't find him on the road. He's off in the forest somewhere. He might run into some other people and try to get more help, for Defiance. I have no idea, but kills one Omec, he takes off, and he's just gone. Like, he's out of there. So him and his bionic arm, he probably is running back to Defiance, but he didn't take like the roads because that's obviously super obvious. Like, let's just take the streets in this vehicle, and we'll get him. We'll be wherever he is in like a minute compared to the 20 minutes it took him to run here. But wherever he is, I'm sure it's going to be interesting to see what he has to deal with in the next episode based on this ending scene, which came after a pretty interesting moment between Alak and Dina, which really sucks because, and I kind of mentioned this before, they kind of did a little thing which I guess they are going to pick up with in the next season, but they kind of touched on this thing with Orisa early on when in the episode where Alak thought that his father actually did die, and it seemed like they were kind of there for each other. And they had the other scene where Orisa was with Luke as well, and it was like, it seems like they're kind of hinting at something. And then they had the scene in the last episode where it seemed like they were hinting towards stuff with Indina, and they really picked up on that in this one. And she's, they kiss, they actually kiss each other, which isn't the only surprising kiss that happens in this episode, but they actually kiss, and I'm like, okay, well, this is the route that they're going, where Indina's going to be basically the new relationship for Alak and like the new part of the family. And then Kinsey comes in, and she actually, like, everything that they talked about was actually foreshadowing, because of course with Salma it's like you never know if it was really the plan or if it wasn't the plan. It seemed like it wasn't because she was kind of freaking out and upset, but at the same time she's faked that a million times before throughout the series. So it's just like, I have no idea, what to expect. Even in this scene, I felt the same way as Alak. It's like, I want to believe her, but at the same time, she could be faking all this worrying and stuff like that. And Alak was actually right. Like, I didn't think it was actually going to happen at all, but she actually did lead Kinsey straight to the house, which, in all honesty, like I said, I wasn't actually expecting any of that to happen, but it actually did. I'm like, I'm sure they're fine, no big deal. Because they had all the scenes where Kinsey's like off with her people, which is obviously super far away from Defiance. So I don't know when she was even near Defiance, and I guess technically I don't really know where the house is in relation to the city and stuff like that. All I remember from like season 1 is that their backyard is basically a forest, so they could be closer to where the Omec were, keeping people compared to Defiance actually. But either way, it actually did lead Kinsey to the house with just all this craziness. Like, initially, the first thing I thought was it's going to be Kinsey at the door. And then I was like, oh, it's Stama. But of course, she's sweating and breathing hard. And then it's like, and here comes Kinsey right after. Because she did find her, and she, throws her in the house. And Dina tries to save Stama, and then she just gets her neck snapped, which really sucked. I was like as soon as she grabbed her by the neck, I'm like, she's just gonna snap her neck. I thought she'd do it with like one arm, but they kind of made it even worse because she actually like grabs her head and just pushes it back, and then she just drops her. So Andina's gone, which really sucks. And then we have just a really really great final scene with Kenzie actually in this moment of basically being able to get her revenge, and she's like throwing Stama against like the cabinets and on benches and things like that. And I loved it was a really little moment, but when Stama was trying to hide the toy, I loved that little scene because it was just like a really little touch that she's trying to protect what little family she has left. And she moves the toy to the other side of the box, and I was like, that's actually really really cool. And then I kind of experienced the other moment where I'm like, I think she might actually get killed off here, and I wasn't sure what to expect. She of course pulls the knife, which is like no big deal. Even before Kinsey eating Tefkin's heart, I'm sure that wouldn't have done anything. But she hears the baby crying, and then it's like, okay, she drags her down the hallway, which was filmed really cool too because it was low to the ground. I just like how it looked. And then she gets in, of course. Alak has the gun, which I thought was a cool looking gun for one, but it was kind of also cool that he actually had it in Luke's room. And it's like that's where it needs to be when he needs to get to it, because he needs to get to his son and the best protection for his son at the same time. So I thought that was actually kind of cool and just really smart. And he just moves the toys and flips the cover over, and boom, there's his gun. And unfortunately, that didn't do enough against Kinsey. And that whole ending scene, I was just like freaking out. Like I was just like, oh man, like I don't know if they're gonna kill this baby off. I wasn't sure if she was gonna kill Alak and the baby or just the baby. Like either way, it was just like I don't know what's about to happen. And technically, I still don't. I mean, she knocked both of them out. She has the baby. I thought it was gonna end with like her opening her mouth or something. I'm kind of glad it didn't, because maybe there's a bit of hope, and they didn't. Once again, I only got to see like half of the preview for the next episode, but from what I saw, it didn't spoil too much. I'm just hoping that fire is just to keep her warm. That's all I can hope. But it really scared me. It was a really scary ending, and I'm incredibly excited. And hopefully, they don't kill off a baby in this show. That would be insane. It would be great writing because that would be really dramatic. But in all honesty, I hope it doesn't happen, because the does not need. That's the last thing he needs. He lost his father-in-law, his wife, his father in a sense. Like he's back, but who knows? He lost the girl he was about to fall in love with, and now his baby's in danger, and it's just insane for him. So hopefully none of that happens. We also haven't seen him for like 3 episodes, so I hope they don't bring him in the last 2, and it's like, yep, and he lost his baby by the finale. So he's lost everyone in one season, which would be just the worst. It would be a great story arc, but it would just be depressing to see that happen. So I hope it doesn't. But I did love this episode. It's going to be insane for the next one. And who knows how many Omec are going to come down, in the actual finale, and what they're going to do. Because with the Omec being so powerful, I feel like they could still easily use season 4 as like the Omec season, and that was something I thought of early on, because it was like, all right, well, we have Ramtak as the villain this season, but he was killed like I guess a little bit more than halfway through, like just over halfway through the season, and it's like, okay, well, they aren't gonna rush through the Omec, but they could. Like it wouldn't be. I guess I can't say it would be rushed. I mean, they were obviously introduced throughout. They've been in the entire season, so we know the characters. But I feel like if they don't actually defeat them in the next episode, we could easily get a full season of just 10,000 Omec coming in, Defiance being the first stronghold against this insane tough species, and then maybe that'll introduce more of the big government groups that we haven't seen too much this season. We really got the Votanus Collective a lot this season compared to like the E-Rep in the last 2 seasons. So maybe it'll bring kind of everyone together. If they don't defeat them in this one, then we'll kind of get all of that in the next season. But I'm excited for it. I kind of glanced over this, but like the other special kiss between Nolan and Amanda, that took forever. So that that actually happened, which at this point it honestly did surprise me, because it seemed like that's kind of what they were hinting at a little bit, really early on, and that's they have this similar, obviously not the exact same mind, but they're always on a sort of same type of level when it comes to things. And I think Amanda had a really good scene in this episode as well. You know, that scene when she was breaking down, because she felt that this was her moment, you know, of making a mistake. And she's had that a lot this season, which I've loved about her character. Just probably dealing with the toughest decisions she's ever had to deal with, like the VC, well, Ramtok coming in, and the scene in the bar where it's like, you know, if we put the stasis net down, you'll just kill everyone anyway, and then those people in the bar die for sure. And then trying to help Nolan after his mistake, and now feeling like, you know, she was the one who made a mistake to begin with, you know, dealing with Kinsey. But I think, or dealing with Tefkin and Kinsey. But I think Nolan made a great point for her. Like, if she didn't, you know, help them to begin with, the stasis nets would have been down and Ramtak would have completely wiped out the town. Like, I think that was exactly what I was thinking before he even said it. Like, if they didn't do that, Ramtak would have just walked right into the town and there would have been nothing. It would have just been everyone dead. Like, maybe not, you know, some of the aliens, but, you know, it would have been for sure a massacre instead of just a really tragic moment in a bar. It would have been the entire town. And I thought it was just a great moment for her character, just having like the toughest decisions this season. I've really loved it for her character, just having to deal with the bad parts of war. Like, every great decision is going to have a great outcome. So, you know, I love that moment. And then, of course, like I said, it finally led to them actually kissing. Who knows if that'll actually lead to a relationship? It could just be a little moment that they have. But I think they're finally going to touch on some of the tension that's kind of fallen off in like the past season and a half, really. And then it's like, here it is for sure officially now. So that was actually kind of a nice little touch after all this time. It's like, holy crap, they actually did do it. And it seemed like that was something that they weren't going to do. But I love that it was kind of built up for so long, almost 3 full seasons of it. And now it's like they finally kissed for real. And, you know, we're going to get to see them go on possibly to something a bit more serious. But I love this episode. For sure, a great one leading up to the finale. But of course, I want to know what you guys thought about this one. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. And I want to know your reaction to that ending scene. I mean, even if Luke isn't killed, which like I said, I really hope no one else is killed. We did lose Andina, which I really hated because, like I mentioned before, I loved the little moments that they gave her character where she was stepping outside of her boundaries, in a sense, culturally speaking, as sort of their housemaiden, where it's like she can only say certain things and she has to call them by certain names and stuff like that. She was continually stepping out of those bounds, just little by little. And I loved that for her character, and it really sucked to see her go, because I thought she would, you know, reach out, even if it wasn't permanent between her and Alak. I thought for sure, like, they would have this character, and she would just be built up. And I guess that's why they did that, to be like, hey, notice this character who's different than any of the housemates that they've ever had, and she's having these little moments here and there, and then when she's killed off, even as technically a minor character, it does actually matter compared to some other minor characters that were kind of killed off, and some just unknown characters and stuff like that. So for me, it was really crazy. It sucked to see her go, and then of course the ending itself was just intense, and like Alak just struggling, and I was honestly scared they were gonna like just rip the baby apart at one point. I was freaking out so much. But it was a great scene for me. But like I said, I want to know what you guys thought about it, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.